Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Woodstock, Georgia, it's time for Cherokee Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to Cherokee Business Radio. Stone Payton here with you this morning, and today's episode is brought to you in part by Alma Coffee, sustainably grown, veteran-owned, and direct trade, which means, of course, from seed to cup, there are no middlemen. Please go check them out at myalmacoffee.com and go visit their Roastery Cafe at 3448 Holly Springs Parkway in Canton. Ask for Harry or the brains of the outfit, Leticia, and please tell them that Stone sent you. This is going to be a fun episode, gang. Here in a little while, we're going to catch back up with Managing Director over at Woodstock Arts, Brian Gamble. But first up on Cherokee Business Radio this morning, please join me in welcoming to the broadcast Executive Director with Path to Shine, Marie Davis. How are you?
I'm good. Glad to be here, Stone.
What a delight to have you in the studio. Let's start by kind of getting our arms around mission, purpose. What is this organization out there trying to do for folks?
Well, Path to Shine's been around for 11 years. And our mission has always been to inspire children to achieve hope-filled dreams through mentoring in an after-school environment.
So mentoring, I've heard a great deal about mentoring, even read a few books on it from the business world, the corporate world. Tell me a little bit about the dynamics of mentoring in this arena. Is it different? Are there some parallels?
Mentoring, I like to think of it as anyone in your life who supports you in any kind of way. And when I'm doing a training for mentors, I always ask them to close their eyes and think of the very first person they can remember that inspired them. That's what a mentor is. So it can be anybody in your life. You may not even know them. But the best model is, of course, one-to-one, where someone can really get into your life and know you and understand what your needs are and be the person that, they would have wanted you to be when they were a kid or an adult in a work environment.
So did you have mentors as a young person, as a younger person?
As a girl person.
Boom, foot out of mouth. As a younger person, and or in your career, have you had some experience being what do you call the other one? The mentee?
Mentee.
Okay.
Sure, and we didn't call it that, although that term's been around for a million years. And if you think about it, I had many. I had a mom, I had a dad, I had Sunday school teachers, I had a wonderful, wonderful history teacher in high school. I look back and think of all the people who helped me, inspired me. I wish I'd listened to them. But one of the really important things about mentors is you can teach a child to go look for a mentor. For instance, I need different things now in my life than I needed years ago. I went and sought my own mentor for mentoring. Sounds kind of silly, but you need to know what you're doing. Anybody can do it, but it really helps if you're, starting a program or running a program to connect with people who can help you be the best you can be. So that's one of my training tips for anyone that wants to help somebody. Teach them what it's like to go search out a mentor who can help them with whatever that is.
All right, so let's go down that path a little bit, because I have been so blessed to have an opportunity to be in and around, study under the wing of some people who just had a tremendous impact on me. I got to say, I didn't find them, or I accidentally found them, or I tripped over them. But it sounds like there can be some methodology, some discipline, some rigor, some steps to, okay, if you want to go get a mentor, go, do these three things. Don't do these three things. Share a couple of ideas about how can we go about getting one.
Okay. Well, in the adult world, I would highly suggest that you do what I did last week, how I met you, which was go join a networking group, the Woodstock Business Association, or go to the Cherokee Chamber. Not to give them a plug. I'm just giving you ideas.
I'll send them an invoice in a little bit.
But definitely put yourself in an arena where you're looking, and that's one thing that I did in my previous life in Hall County. I worked with all the school systems, and instead of just saying, connecting someone with someone else, I looked for the kids who needed help with reading, the kids who needed help deciding whether they were going to be in the business arena or if they were going to go to college or trade school or whatever, looking for those little boys who didn't have fathers and creating programs for them, or the girls who didn't have fathers or mothers, whatever the situation was. Approach people and say, hey, there's this great culinary school at the class at the high school. You're a chef. Could you go over there and just connect with a kid? I mean, there's just so many ways. And I had a dear friend email me this morning, and she said, I love what you're doing, but I can't do it. I don't have anything to offer. And I'm like, yeah, you do. You're a fabulous Italian cook. You want to come just talk to them about herbs or what you do to cook a meal. Everybody's got something that they can teach somebody. It's just a wonderful, mentoring is just the go word. It's helping people, talking to people, connecting with people.
So how would you go about seeking a mentor out? What would you say to them or not say to them? Or am I overcomplicating it and you just need to get out there and say, hey, I'm pursuing this. I understand you've got some experience or knowledge in this area. Would you be willing to help me out, kind of thing?
I need to get in front of a lot of people. For instance, going to civic groups, church groups, Sunday school, anybody where you need just a little speaker, an idea. Maybe your group is a business is looking for something that you want to do. And whether it's my mentoring program or another one, I sit on the Georgia Provider Council, the Georgia Mentor Provider Council for National Mentor. And there are millions of programs out there. Maybe you have clients who are focused in another part of town, another part of Georgia. I can connect you with someone where you can do whatever it is, like, work with the kids at some broadcasting school, hint, hint. There's always a place for someone. Absolutely.
Well, I got to say, as you're describing this, if someone were to come to me and say, I really want to learn more about digital radio, podcasting, marketing, anything I feel like I have a little bit of knowledge and experience in, if they came to me and asked me, particularly a young person, but anybody, I would bend over backwards to help them. I bet I haven't been asked that twice in 30 years of being in business and 16 of doing this so people don't come and ask.
Well, that's exactly right. But guess what? I know exactly where you can be of help. And so you're in trouble now.
Ruh-roh.
But Path to Shine, let me talk about them just for a second.
Sure.
Their focus is fifth grade and under. Why is that? The main reason for that is reading skills. And I'm looking at this wonderful article from Georgia Trend, December 2019, where they talk about why reading matters. For instance, this is why we focus on reading. Only 42% of Georgia public school children read proficiently by the end of the third grade. Why is that so important? Well, when you get to the third grade, everything starts getting harder. They can't do their math if they can't read. I mean, picture, how are you going to learn to do a word problem or a geometry problem if you can't read the instructions? So reading is key to everything. So at Path to Shine, we give the mentors, we only meet one afternoon a week. So a lot of people are scared that, it's going to take up a lot of time. It's 2 hours one afternoon a week. So maybe a business might have to give somebody an extra lunch time to go do this, an extra hour or whatever. But hey, we're all flexible now. Anybody can do this. But we focus on reading. In fact, we give them books throughout the year. We give them 3 books in the springtime, so they'll have something to do over spring break. We give them 3 books at Christmas. Our founder, Leslie Ann Drake, who founded this through the Episcopal Church 11 years ago, and she was adamant that these kids needed to have books in their hands, and she's absolutely right. If you don't have a book, big deal. How are you going to learn to read? And so your parents might not be able to take you to the library, but if somebody can put a book in your hand and then sit there with you and go through it, the little light's going to come on.
So the kids that we're talking about, are they disadvantaged in some way necessarily, or is it just you're going to certain schools or school systems? Where are these kids that you're working with?
Well, I've been with Path to Shine exactly for 2 months, and they hired me to increase the 16 programs across Georgia, multiply it.
Okay.
So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for churches, organizations, schools, anybody who could house an afternoon program and a place, because we're in a housing authority in Perry, Georgia, that is down right now. I'm looking for mentors. Mm-hmm. We're in Macon at churches. We're in primarily Episcopal churches because that's where it started, but we're in Kingswood United Methodist in Dunwoody. We are in a Baptist church. Don't ask me which program. I just told you I'm still new. But we are in schools. We literally can meet anywhere that someone can provide a place. And you ask me, are these disadvantaged children? The whole time I've been in the mentoring world, my mantra has always been, every person in the universe needs a mentor, especially every child. And so whether they can't read, they're grieving, maybe they are straight A students, but they don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. Everybody needs a mentor. So the disadvantaged children and the bad kids are usually the ones that get mentors first, because we simply don't have enough mentors to go around. My goal is to make sure that any child who wants to be a part of the program, maybe they're a straight A student and they want to go to the next level, let's connect them with someone. I have to, some of the words that come to mind I can't use anymore that I used to use because they mean something else. But, literally every person needs a mentor. Every child in school. And a lot of the programs that I set up in Hall County, I have to talk about that because I was there for 6 years through a wonderful little nonprofit called Centerpoint, not plugging for them because they are strictly Hall County. I put a lot of programs in schools simply through our training. And we wanted to make sure that they understood that whether they're working with a kindergartner learning their ABCs or whether they're working with a senior in college, they need to follow the school rules. They need to understand that their number one priority is to listen to kids. Listen. And they will tell you what they need. They're going to let you know, I really want to be I had a little boy. Can I tell a story?
Please.
All right. I had a little boy when I first went out there, and typically, you put same sex together, of course. And after, in middle school from on up, it's only same sex. But because this one school had no mentors, none, I went and they connected me with a little 8-year-old boy. And I love telling this story because it's very, very powerful. He was about as big around as 3 kids his age. He was huge. And his goal was to be he wanted to be a basketball star. Well, I didn't tell him, honey, you're half the size of all the other kids in Europe. That wasn't my goal. My goal was to inspire him. So his real problem, the reason he was referred to me, is because he was in the office every single day for fighting. Mm. So we got down to it, and I said, we talked a lot about goals. Like, what is the main thing that you have to do to be a professional basketball player, a good basketball player? And he said, you have to play. And I said, well, how? And I know it's football season, you play football, but how are you ever going to be a star if you don't get to play? So a team of people, the vice principal, the principal. The vice principal was a man the same color as this little boy, and sometimes that's very important. He said, I'm going to go see him every day and shake his hand in the cafeteria and say, haven't seen you in the principal's office today. Good job. The principal was an old white lady like me, said, I'm going to meet him when he gets off the bus every day. And I'm going to say, I don't want to see you in your office today. Love you, but don't want to see you. And they changed his teacher because his teacher just didn't like him. He was a troublemaker. So they gave him a teacher who realized that this kid needed serious help. So we all worked with him, and by the end of the year, he went a whole month without hitting anybody, which is wonderful if you think he was in there every day. And so the next year, what I did was I went to, and sometimes I've done some unconventional things like go to the firemen, and they're great because they'll just go and sit with the kids. They can't commit to one kid or to be there every day, but they'll come in and sit and have lunch with them. Well, these 2 firemen committed to this kid. and had to bring the fire truck to school to see him in case they got called out. Well, you can imagine how, an 8-year-old boy, wow, he was the envy of the school. So that did a lot for him. And at the end of the year, they let him bring the friends out that he wanted to and shoot the fire hose.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so I heard the next year he did get in trouble for threatening to kill a kid. But he was kidding, and he was sitting on his hands. He did not hit anybody. The next year, he hit no one. Now, that was years ago. I'm sure he's in high school by now. But that's just an example of what you can do to inspire a kid. You think it's not a big deal, but it is.
So backing up a little bit, and you touched on parts of it, but tell us a little bit about your backstory. How did you get to this point?
Oh, wow. Well, I moved. I'm from Atlanta. I'm a native, but we moved to Florida for 12 years. And when I came back, we moved to Gainesville. Didn't know a soul. We thought, okay, we lived on the beach in Florida. We're going to have to be near the water. So we moved to Gainesville, which I loved. I didn't have a job. And I started volunteering at Centerpoint. And the director said, okay, you're going to the chambers and you go in the network groups. I want you to help me hire a director of mentoring. And I said, excuse me? I think that's me. And so they allowed me to do that for 6 years. It was a wonderful opportunity. And during that time, the National Mentor Network tried to bring on Georgia. It took about 5 years each state has a mentor network. And so I had the privilege of going there and working on that, which happened last year despite COVID. And what's important about that is that mentor programs across the state can go to the Office of Juvenile Justice website as well as the mentoring.org website and apply for free assistance with their mentor program.
Nice.
So that was one of the things that attracted me to Path to Shine was it's so well set up, but there's so much that can be done. I mean, they've been around for 11 years, but that is such a good model that I'd like to replicate that through the state. So I also provide technical assistance through the mentoring.org. So I am very, very, very busy, but I love it. And once you've done it, you realize I've set up mentor programs for veteran groups. I've set up mentoring programs for the veterans' families, but also for the children. I've set up very unique mentoring programs, and it's just a privilege to be doing this one because it is so established. It's just easier for people to do 1 day a week and already has a lot of support. But we certainly need mentors. We need ideas. We have can I go ahead and do my shameless plug for our
absolutely
social media?
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. Okay. Well, this month, the reason I wanted to come on today is we have a social media campaign. It's our only one of the year. It's called Share the Love. And the idea is that if you like me, we all work for nonprofits can't spend a lot of money, but can you give $1 a day for a month? So depending on the year, and this lucky the people who it's 28 days a year, we ask for a $28 donation to share the love. And with that money, there's if you go to the website, pathtoshine.org, or we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, there's a button where it says, would you like to give a book, 24 books or whatever it is. I should know what that number is, but you can give books to a certain number of kids for a year. And I was so surprised. My sweetie pie, he saw it and he goes, I'm not giving $28. I'm giving the book button. So I was really proud of him, and it's exciting. So if you could go to check us out and like us, I'd really appreciate it because, again, my mission is to replicate this program all across Georgia.
Well, you're a couple of months into this particular role. Mm-hmm. What are you enjoying the most? What's the most rewarding so far?
Getting to talk about it.
Yeah.
Going in front of people and talking about mentoring. A lot of people don't know where the name mentor came from.
Yeah.
And that is from Homer's Odyssey.
Okay.
And so when the king was called away, and, back then, you didn't know if you were going to be gone for a day or 10 years or never come back. Mm. So the king was afraid to leave his son, Telemachus, because he knew he's a little boy and he might never see him again, or it might be 10, 15 years before whatever war they were fighting was over. So he went to his best friend, Mentor. and said, I want you to take care of my son. And that's where the term comes from. And
Brian is nodding his head like he knows this story.
He does, because
I really honestly, yeah.
Wow.
see?
Yeah.
And so that's where this bantered around word comes from, but it really goes back to someone who entrusted their child to someone else. And so we take it very seriously. Our mentors go through background checks and all kinds of training. The National Mentor Organization has some tremendous training for people, what to do, what not to do. You know that. You're in the public field, and there's just things you can and cannot do, especially with children. Yeah. So there's lots of information out there, and I have a ball going out and telling people how they might get involved, because people don't know. They don't know, like you, Stone. I kind of picture you being involved with a trade organization, a local, maybe Lanier Tech, or, for instance, I'm going up to Reinhardt University on Friday afternoon to meet with the Dean of Students to talk about how not only might they get involved in mentoring, but how we could set up a mentoring program there. So, see, you know, you think, oh, I don't have time to do that. Well, you do have time to do that. You might go and speak just one time. And then maybe that one kid reaches out to you and says, could I just talk to you? That's mentoring. So there's always ways, and you really will have to tell me when we start getting out of time, because I could talk about this absolutely all day long. I have so many stories to tell of success story, just wonderful stories about not just this program, but what other programs have done.
Well, one of the things that I guess relieves the anxiety for me, and you've mentioned it briefly, is you have training. It's not like you're, okay, Stone, get out there and be your best, be a good mentor, because surely there are some distinct disciplines and methodologies and mechanics to being a good mentor, and it sounds like you guys do take that very seriously, and so
Absolutely.
There's a program.
And the main thing is, listen, if you can sit with a kid long enough. I worked with a little boy that was 4. I thought he was like way too young. And he didn't say a word and wouldn't get anywhere near me for the first several months. And then all of a sudden, and I found out later why, he was trying to sit in my lap, was a tremendous no-no. You can't allow them to do that. Yeah. But he was talking all about his dad buying him some bacon ice cream. And the key is that his dad, he finally got to see his dad. And it just broke through. It wasn't me. It wasn't anything. He just missed his dad. And so that's part of the training too, is you're not there to fix them. You're there to support them. Nobody thinks you need to be, if a child has schizophrenia, you're not going to cure that. But we know statistically that by being in front of that kid, you're going to help them. You are going to change their life. And if you think that you don't, go back to when I said, close your eyes and think of that person. Try to go back to when you were a kid. For me, it's been a longer time than some. But go back to that time and think about that person that you remember. You think that kid's not going to remember you? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. They're going to remember you forever, good or bad.
All right, before we wrap, let's make sure that our listeners know about any upcoming events, opportunities, points of contact. So let's make sure that we make it real easy for them to reach out and have a conversation with you or somebody on your team, or get to this, maybe one of these websites you were describing. Mm-hmm. Let's make sure we leave them with that.
Okay, so it is just me, Marie Davis, Executive Director. The website is pathtoshine.org. We are on all social media platforms. You can reach me at marie@pathtoshine.org. My phone number's right on there. I'm not afraid to take your call. I'd love to talk to you. If you need someone to speak, if you want to talk to me personally, if you got a mentor program you need some help, give me a call. But please, if you can, during February, like our page and share the love.
You got it. Thank you so much for coming in today. I am glad we were able to get this
I had a ball.
Together.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Hey, how about hanging out with us while we visit with our next guest?
I can't wait to hear about it.
All right. Next up on Cherokee Business Radio, please join me in welcoming back to the Business RadioX microphone, Managing Director with Woodstock Arts, Mr. Brian Gamble. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Stone. How you doing?
I am doing well, man. It's been too long. I think maybe we spoke in the summer. I don't remember exactly, but I think maybe you guys were in a little bit of a kind of making that transition from branding and programming and staffing. Get us caught up, man.
Yeah, a lot has happened for us over 2020 and 2021. The biggest change is at the beginning of 2021, when we were entering that year, we had 4 staff members. There's currently training happening at the theater that I'm here for in just a little bit for 3 more to bring our total up to 19.
Whoa!
Wow.
So there's some numbers missing in there, including my promotion as well. Over that time, I was production manager at the beginning of 2020. So if it was on a stage, it was my fault. Now I joke that it's just all my fault.
All of it's your fault.
All of it's my fault. But we've been able to grow exponentially. We have a full theater staff with an artistic director. You actually know him. Zach Stolz got a promotion. He was our coffee shop and wine bar manager.
Oh, what a waste. What a great barista this guy. No, you didn't. No,
so
that's fantastic.
He's handed
Zach.
over
That's
the
terrific.
entire book of Reeves, is what they call their manual, to Riley, who is going to be our new coffee shop manager over there. But in that time, we've added Camille, who's our volunteer and event coordinator, Nicole, who's running the Reeves house as the visual arts director, Harmony, who's doing the education over there, Kyle, who's doing the education over at the theater, Kaylee, who's doing the production management for the theater. I'm forgetting people I know. Lindsay Lutz, who's our office manager, and we're just now adding a development person with Beth, as well as obviously Riley, and then Libby, who's going to be our new marketing manager. So huge staff growth, and our name changed over 2020 as well. We are officially Woodstock Arts now, no longer Elm Street Cultural Arts Village, because that one is a little bit of a mouthful.
What an exciting time. So activities coming up, events, promotions, what's, and I know it's a long list, so we probably won't hit them all.
I'm going to pull out the phone real quick just to make sure I'm covering everything. The first and most immediate thing is a chorus line, the high school edition we have. It actually started this past weekend. The kids are doing a phenomenal job with it.
Fun.
It's so much fun. It does have some content changes, obviously, if you're familiar with the show. We decide in Dance 10 Looks 3, it's this and that, as opposed to what the lyrics actually are, which if you know those lyrics, more power to you. Don't look them up right now. But it's a phenomenal show. It runs this weekend, and it's more than appropriate to bring your kids to. It's a great experience to see these dancers who have been on the line their entire lives trying to get these shows, and that they have lives too. You know, that person in the ensemble when you go to the Fox that wears 18 different costumes. There's a whole story behind them and how they got there. So beautiful show. And then the next biggest thing that I want to talk about is we have a volunteer recruitment event. That is on Sunday, the 27th. That's located on the backyard of the Reeves house. That address is 734 Reeves Street. I'm going to do all my plugs as I can. From about noon till 3 p.m., we'll have volunteer opportunities all across the board. So whether you're interested in volunteering at the Reeves house for install, deinstall, events, those type of things, through our educational programming, being a backstage parent during a chorus line. We actually are head of the backstage parents right now. Doesn't have a child in the show. So she's just been really passionate about getting that process going. And Stephanie's done a great job there. But we also have volunteerism opportunities for sound, for lighting, for scenic building. If you just want to come in and bang some wood, like we have those. And it's a place for you to learn about and also meet the other volunteers we have in charge of these things. So it's not just a staff-driven organization. We weren't for a long time, and we still aren't. We're volunteer-driven because we're all about engaging community. So creating that space for people of all walks of life to come together and find commonality and common ground.
So facility for the theatrical productions.
Yes.
Where is that?
That is located at 8534 Main Street. It's the old Woodstock First Baptist Church behind Rootstock. So.
Oh, right. Okay, I know.
Yeah, the giant parking lot that you all park in to walk about 4 or 5 blocks to Century House or wherever you're going that night. Yeah.
Right. Very nice. So my wife Holly and I have really come to just love everything about this community, but particularly the work that you guys are doing. Holly, in my opinion, is a fabulous artist. She's definitely an artist. I think she's the greatest. Everyone thinks their own white as snow, right? But she hung a little piece in the. You guys not too long ago did like the local art thing and she hung, and it was such a delight for Holly to be allowed to hang something. You know, like that was a huge big deal. And then somebody bought the thing, which I mean,
that's so exciting.
It did so much for her confidence, right? And so we have gotten to know Nicole a little bit. And but it's true about everyone we've ever come into contact with on your team. I have more contact with Zach because I like to walk by and have a beer. Plus, Zach would do these syrups made out of beer, and they have these waffles. And so anyway, wow. Holly and I just love everything about it.
Yeah, a couple things off of that. We actually make all of the simple syrups in-house except for 3 of them. And it's the hazelnut ones because you can't get hazelnuts are just really hard to come by to make into a syrup, and the creme de menthe. Everything else is our staff boiling sugar and water and throwing in whatever ingredients. So there's a fun hibiscus, pepper, and there's one ingredient I'm forgetting, and Zach is going to kill me for that. But, syrup that's great in a lemonade. So they're always creating out those creative specials. But going back to Holly being involved in that show, that's actually a show that we've talked to Nicole about, and I feel comfortable saying this. We're going to have Small Town Small Works on an annual basis.
Oh, baby. That's great.
The gallery, we are always going to bring in national artists because we want it to feel like an art gallery where you can see art from all across the globe, right? And it's really cool when your art's in there, right?
Yeah.
So and Small Town Small Works is a very great way for not only our community to support the art because it's a smaller piece so that it's an affordable price for the general person who's coming in who doesn't really know anything about art. And that's part of the reason the coffee shop exists. If you trip and fall while you're getting a beer and realize you like art, we did our job. So you can go in there, you can see the artwork, and then around that time of year, it's the holiday season too. So if I can spend $80 supporting a local artist or go to Home Goods and spend $40 on a print that 80,000 other people have, I want to support that local artist.
Yes.
So, Nicole's been doing some great work over there as well as that coffee shop staff, making sure that it's a fun, unique experience. And like I said, our whole thing is about engagement. So we don't necessarily want, not that we don't want people who already know about art, but like a win for us is someone who has never, ever walked into an art gallery. And if they get a coffee shop or if they get a coffee 2 or 3 times and go, oh, that's really cool. What's the next exhibit? Like that. Immediately for us is the next step up the ladder. Like, okay, now they're invested, they're engaged, they're getting involved. So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a crazy couple of years.
So, I'll give you a real life example of how this can unfold for someone. Holly, of course, is artsy. And again, I think she's fantastic. But I really thought I would live out my Reeves House Woodstock Arts experience through Holly. That's really not the case anymore. I really do enjoy going and seeing the new art, everything from the local to you did the quilt hanging thing to the I know you've got big exhibits coming in, and back to this volunteer idea. I cannot draw a stick figure. I can't sing. I can't play any music. I can appreciate the heck out of all of it. And I don't know if I'm the guy that goes and gets ice before the big event, but I bet you there's a place for me in this volunteer continuum. Right?
Oh, yeah. There's definitely a place for everyone. And the other thing I will say is going back to the mentor-mentee thing, if you're interested at all, there is someone either on staff or a volunteer who can be like, oh, I had no idea. One of our core volunteers is very about lighting. She's a lighting designer now.
Yeah.
She had never touched a light board prior to being involved with the organization. She's like, that's cool. And we've done the same thing recently with another person who his husband was on staff, and he just had always been an actor, but he just wasn't a fan of the show. That he's like, I don't want to be in the show, but I really want to see what you guys do in the booth.
Yeah.
And it was so cool to see him light up, and pun intended, I guess. It wasn't, but now it is. But to see him light up and get so excited about being creative on the other side of the audience, I guess. So you get to be back in that booth and say, okay, how can I make this picture work, right? And same thing with our scenic team. There have been people who have come in and, oh, my wife dragged me to see a show. Okay, this is pretty. You have a nice shop. Oh,
right.
I like that drill. I want to put a set together. Let's do this. And then you just, end up creating a fun new homing community that way. And we're a big believer in, I want to see you no matter where the venue is, right? Like if your gateway into it is I want to just work the bar at Lantern Series and sling some beers while I listen to some music, hey, me too. Like that's a fun experience. But then you're like, well, I really am interested in this next exhibit at the Reeves House. Maybe I can, go and help them install for one day because I don't know. I can't draw stick figures either. Our executive director can't even, write well on a whiteboard without being slow and. Sorry, Christopher. But you know, handwriting isn't even great among staff. But if you know how to hang a picture at home, you know, it's a little more complicated than that. Nicole will let you know you got to make sure the measurement's right from the floor. You got to get your perfect center. You can't let it be off kilter. But if you have those basic skills, we can train you how to, you know, advance those to art gallery level hanging.
And if you don't, you can go get ice.
Exactly. Right? You can go get ice beforehand too.
I can't wait to see the show.
Yeah, that is one more thing we do have coming up. And let me make sure I get that date right. For the new media exhibit, it actually opens, the next exhibit opens Thursday, February 17th at the Reeves House.
Oh, wow, that's coming up.
Yes, it is. It's coming up very shortly. So we will, obviously the copy shop stays open during that deinstall period, but a lot of it will be shut down just from the fact we're moving walls around because all the walls in the space move. And it's an exhibit exploring digital the digital mediums you can use to create art. So one of the pieces is this very intricate feather piece that moves.
I saw a video that Nicole showed us video
Nicole
of that
presented at 1 million cups and there was a really cool video on it. So we're super excited to have some
what
really
a great
fun.
Valentine's Day present.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And it's completely free. Almost all of our events at the Reeves House are free unless it's a workshop where we need to cover the cost of materials. So, or paint on the patio. That one does end up costing you with your wine and your and your paint supplies. But no, there's so much fun. You know, we're going to be bringing jazz nights back soon once it gets warm, and
fun.
Art on the Spot's always a great time. And those are reoccurring events that you can see monthly. So you can always check out our website, which is woodstockarts.org. Or you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of those lovely things. Woodstock GA or Woodstock Arts GA, I believe. I'm gonna double check that one too.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, Woodstock GA Arts. See, I knew I got it wrong. Woodstock GA Arts is our handle for any and all of those. And the Reeves House itself has its own personal Instagram just because of the amount of output we have going on there. So you can learn about the waffles. You can learn about what sandwiches or bagels or cool, fun drinks for Valentine's Day, which we have those specials out throughout the month of February.
You sold me.
Yeah, and it's right on the trail too. So,
and that's one of the marvelous things about it is we can walk right by. And in my case, I like a nice IPA after a little walk. But there's something there for everyone. And you touched on it real quickly. You guys are so good about collaborating with the business community. So the 1 million cups thing that the Kauffman Foundation puts on and Fresh Start Cherokee's involved in, and the 1 million cups thing was held at the Reeves House. And I will share with you guys, because Holly and I now have gotten to know Nicole a little bit. I never realized there is costs associated with putting on these shows, like bringing in this art. Never occurred to me, and it might not to other lay people.
Me either.
Like shipping.
Oh
my God.
We when we started, Christopher and I both theater backgrounds. So the transition to concerts wasn't that crazy. There are definitely weird different expenses, like the cost of a music act coming in. You got to pay for hotel, you got to pay for their food, you got to pay for the green room. You kind of know all those things. The amount that you don't really know, we've gotten in the hang of that. We started budgeting for the year of the Reeves House being built without, Nicole being on staff. So that should be fine. First show happens. The shipping happens, and we're like, what are these shipping costs? Well, you got to think it's people whose heart in art are on their sleeve.
Yeah.
Shipping that across the country, hopefully making sure it's safe. So yeah, shipping costs are something we did not anticipate, but you know what? That's why we have a coffee shop, to help float those costs. So come buy a beer, come buy a coffee, and we can make sure that we can keep having art over there.
So there's volunteer opportunities.
For sure.
And before we wrap, we'll make sure people know where to go to get tapped into all of this. There's opportunities to support just writing a check or getting a subscription at this or that. Which I think, and then on the business side of things, someone like a company or like a Business RadioX, we could sponsor something, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And you'll create it probably if you don't have it, right?
Yeah, there's a ton of different business sponsorships that we have across the board. So right now, the biggest things we've been pushing are sponsoring a series. So we have presenting sponsors for the full year. Black Airplane's one of our sponsors, so I'm going to go ahead and give them a shout out for.
Well, you should, though. Yeah. I mean, what a fantastic group of folks they are. And of course, Michael is our mayor as well. Just super guy. Go ahead.
But Michael and David really believed in what we were doing with the Lantern series. Series, so they're a presenting sponsor of that now. And also their staff comes over and gets coffee, I think, daily. They're some of our most regulars there are. So they're sponsoring that. We have gold level and silver level for Lantern Series as well. Same thing for theater. We have a couple of gold sponsors over there as well.
Okay.
But then for the Reeves House, it's broken up a little bit differently, where you can sponsor an exhibit, which would be more at that gold level. So your name is on everything that happens during that run of the exhibit.
Oh, sweet.
And then you can also sponsor events. So at Jazz, you can sponsor Jazz Night for the year. So every time we have Jazz Night, we say your business's name. You guys are more than welcome to have like a reserve section in there. But if you're interested in any of that, obviously, like, go ahead and reach out to us on the website. And now that we have someone in charge of development, which is kind of that sponsorship donor, all that unearned income in that nonprofit sector, I'm sure Beth will be in touch with you over the next couple of weeks or so, now that I can hand that off to somebody that can solely focus on our sponsors and our donors. And, we are a very weird organization. Normal nonprofits are 80% unearned, which is, like I said, that sponsorship, donors, grant income, and 20% earned. We're the reverse of that.
Really?
Now, over 2020, obviously, there's been a lot of government assistance grants, so that number might have changed, but we've earned our keep a lot with our income. So we're hoping to up that percentage a little bit, but keep earning what we're earning. But we're just super excited that this community has really bought into what we're doing, both from a volunteerism standpoint, from a community engagement standpoint, and transparently from a fiscal standpoint, to say, no, these shows are good. I'm going to buy these tickets in my hometown and not drive into Atlanta and battle the crowds trying to get into the Fox, which I am a seasoned subscriber to the Fox, so we love them down there, but it's also nice to see people valuing the arts in their own community.
Yeah. So I'm sure Holly will be writing checks and Business RadioX will surely be writing checks. But one of the ways that we'd like to contribute, and I want to ask you before we wrap, just to make sure that everybody else knows ways to contribute. And we've talked about this, having you come in, periodically, maybe like as a regular rhythm every month. Maybe we don't do quite an in-depth interview, but maybe just get everybody caught up on what's going on, in the next couple of months. And I think that'll be a lot of fun. So another place that people can kind of get the scoop is if they'll tap into Cherokee Business Radio, and then we might even like sort of break off a little series or whatever. We'll figure that out. Yeah. But what you've been kind enough to offer for you or someone on the staff to come by and just do a little ditty, get us caught up every month with what's going on. I'm really excited about that. Yeah, no, we are too. I think it's just one of those things. One of our core values for this upcoming year, we set 3 goals. One of them is re-engaging with our community. I don't know a business that didn't over 2020 go, oh no, our house is on fire, let's put out the fire, and just, oh, but I like it, it's warm in here, let's stay, right? Yeah. I've definitely seen over 2021, and now a lot over 2022. Going to Woodstock Business Club, going to YPOW, going to 1 Million Cups, trying to get our roots back out into the community, just as a reminder that we are here for y'all, and what we do is for you. Like I said, our mission is engaged community. So we want to make sure that we are creating an engaged community, and we can't do that without being out there ourselves. So we're super excited to continue doing that. Well, good. All right. So then we'll definitely make a point of having that kind of recurring series, getting caught up. All right. Before we wrap, let's make sure that we at least give everybody sort of the near term stuff again. And you don't have to go all the way back down your phone, but just some of those that are hitting the top of your mind. Yeah, no, of course. Chorus Lines this weekend at the theater. That's with the teens in it. It's our last spotlight programming of the season. We have the new media exhibit opening up. I believe I said that was February 17th. It is on a Thursday. That sounds correct. I'm not pulling out the phone. But then February 27th is a Sunday, I believe, and that is when we're having our volunteer recruitment event. It's going to be out under this big old tent in the backyard of the Reeves house. Come out and put some faces to names and just kind of see all the people that are behind everything we do. Well, keep up the good work, man. Thank you for everything that you do. Personally, everything that the entire organization is doing. To me, it is one of the reasons, and there are many, but it is one of the reasons that this is just a fantastic community. It is. To live, work, and play, isn't it, Marie? Yes, it is. This has been marvelous. Thanks so much for coming in, man. Yeah, thanks for having me, Stone. All right, this is Stone Payton for our guest today, and everyone here at the Business RadioX family saying we'll see you next time on Cherokee Business Radio.